Hi guys, we're here for our review and we're going to talk about identifying domain and range. The first thing I want you to remember is domain. Except I don't have a pen, so let me try to get that real quick. Domain is something you can draw a line straight under, just like you can draw a straight line under X. So X is the domain. Range, you have to come down around the G, just like you have to come down around the Y. So that's how I tell the difference between domain and range. So the first thing I'm going to do is write D, and I'm going to write R, and we're going to need those curly brackets that only Miss Benson can draw beautifully. And I'm going to start with domain. I'm going to start with a 3, my X value, a 2, then a 4, then an 8. Remember that on a test, they will probably be in ascending order, so it probably would have been 2, 3, 4, 8. So just remember to look for that. My range is my Y values. I have a 1. I have a -9. I have another 1, but I've already written it. And I have another -9, and I've already written that one. So I'm only going to write them down one time. So this is my domain, my X values. This is my range, my Y values. Just to go a step further, it is a function because all of my X, Y values are different. So let's see what we have next. This one, we're going to identify the domain and range of this function, and we're going to use the highlighter a little bit, see how we can do this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my my X axis. So I'm looking for my domain values of each of these points. So I'm going to start from the left and I'm going to move to the right. So I'm going to start with B. B is on -6, so that means my domain is going to start with -6. Then I'm going to move to the right. My next point is C. When I come up to the X axis, it is a -4. I'm going to keep moving to the right. Then I see a D, which I'm going to come down to the X axis, which is a -2. My next point is A, which comes down to the 0 on the X axis. My next point is an F, which comes up to a +2. And my last point is E, and it comes down to a +5. So that is the domain of this function. Now I'm going to go ahead and look at the range, but to do that I'm going to have to change my highlighter color. Let's see, and I'm going to erase this one. So if I'm looking for my range, then I definitely need to highlight or look at my Y axis. And I'm going to start at the bottom and move up. So I'm going to start with letter C. Point C and F have the same Y value. It's -4, so I'm only going to write it one time. Then as I move up, the next point I see is B. I'm going to move over to the Y axis, which is on 0. The next point I see is E, which I'm going to move over to the Y axis, is a +2. The next point is an A, and it is on +4 on the Y axis. And my next point is D, which is across from the +6 on the Y axis. Okay? So that's how you would use the X and Y axes to find the domain. Always sits on top of the X. Oh, I printed off a whole bunch of stuff at the library, Miss Benson, I forgot. And this is the range. Okay? All right, so let's check on the next one. Okay, we have another one. It says determine whether this relation is a function. To be a function, you have to make sure all X values are different. Okay, so let's take our highlighter and we're going to see what our x values look like. This is a 2, a 3, a 7, and a -3. Those are all different. So yes, this is a function. Then we're going to look at the next ones. -6, 3, 3. There's my repeat right there. If it repeats, it is not a function. And then finally, if you have a graph, you draw a vertical line straight from the top to the bottom. And if it touches that graph at more than one point, then no, it is not a function. All right, so let's look at the next one. Okay, that's the end of this video, and we'll make the next one.